Hello everyone, today we'll be looking at GALS or GALS, standing for Gait, Arms, Legs and Spine. So what is GALS? GALS is a screening examination of the musculoskeletal system, and it's in the sequence of Gait, Arms, Legs and Spine, but I have rearranged it to Gait, Spine, Arms and Legs. This is because it's more logical to do everything that you can do while the patient is weight bearing or standing first before asking them to go on the couch and lie down. If not, you'll be asking them to stand and lie down multiple times, which is not really necessary. So this is how I arrange it: gait, spine, arms, legs. So first, gait. So you're gonna ask the patient to walk a distance, turn around and walk back. While they are doing that, you're gonna observe their gait, see if it's normal or not. Some of the abnormal gaits that you might be able to see is an antalgic gait or a Trendelenburg's gait. An antalgic gait basically means that one of their legs is painful to step on one of their legs, and hence they are only putting a short amount of time on that leg. So algic means pain and ant means anti, so you don't want the pain, so antalgic, anti-algic gait, antalgic gait, right? Then Trendelenburg's gait is when you have weak abductors, abductors of the hip. So these are your gluteal medius and gluteus medius and gluteus minimus. So these muscles are responsible for abduction of your hip, and if you have the Trendelenburg's gait, it indicates that there's a weakness in the abductors of the hip. So they walk in such a way that looks as if like they are a supermodel, where they are shake their hips to each side, but in an exaggerated way, right? Next, you're gonna observe the patient in anatomical position from the front, from the side, and from the back. And some of the things you're gonna be observing for are obvious scars, swellings, or any deformities, asymmetries in muscle bulk. Let's say they have wasting on one side, it's gonna be asymmetrical. One side is gonna be bigger muscles, and the other side is gonna be smaller muscles. And carrying angle of the elbows, you can see over here. So in males, the normal carrying angle is 5 to 10 degrees, and for females, it's about 10 to 15 degrees. Anatomical position is when the patient is standing straight, palms facing forwards, right? And so you'll be able to see the carrying angle over here. And then you're gonna look from the back. Some of the things you can see are popliteosis and valgus or varus deformities of the knees. This is not an exhaustive list, but these are some of the things that you may be able to see. Next, we move on to spine. So, okay, so the patient is still standing, right? At the same time that you're observing for all these, when they are standing in the anatomical position, you also look at their spine. So when you're looking from the side, you're going to be looking for kyphosis and lordosis. Kyphosis is a shape K, so it looks like this. And lordosis, you're standing like a lord. From the side, you can see that. And then from the back, you're going to be looking for scoliosis. Looks like the letter S from the back. And then you're going to assess for the two things. In spine, this is not a full RAMS of the spine. So in GALS, you're just going to assess for lateral flexion of the cervical spine and also flexion and extension of the lumbar spine. So for lateral flexion of cervical spine, you're going to ask the patient to bring their ear towards their shoulder on each side. And then for assessing the flexion and extension of the lumbar spine, you're going to put 2 or 3 fingers on the patient's lumbar spinous process, and then ask them to bend forwards, reaching for their toes. When they are bending forwards, your fingers should move apart, and when they bend back, your fingers should come together again. GAL. So arms. Now you're gonna assess for external rotation and abduction of the shoulder joints. This is by asking the patient to put their hands behind their head. Then you're going to assess for extensors and adductors of the fingers and inspect the dorsum of their hands. So you ask the patient to put their hands out in front of them and palms facing down, fingers spread. Next, you're going to assess for radial ulnar joint and inspect palmar surface of the hands. So you ask the patient to turn their hands over and see if they can do it. If they cannot do it, then there's something wrong with their radial ulnar joint. So they can't rotate their hands facing upwards. And also, you're gonna inspect at the same time, and then assess for flexors of the fingers. So you're gonna ask them to make a fist, and then ask them to open up their fist and put your 2 fingers on their hands and ask them to grip your 2 fingers. This is assessing for the power of their palmar grasp, and then ask them to release, and then ask the patient to bring each finger to their thumb. So this is pincer grip and fine motor of their fingers. Just a screening examination, right? Then moving on to legs. Now you're gonna ask the patient to lie on the couch, and then from the end of the couch you're gonna inspect if there's any deformities in the leg. For example, one of the deformities that you might be able to find is hallux valgus. So it looks like this. Or a callus, which is thickened skin due to excess friction. Next, you're going to assess for metacarpophalangeal joint tenderness. So you're still at the end of the bed, you're going to squeeze across the MTPs, metacarpophalangeal joints, which is this part here, and see if it's painful for the patient by observing their face or asking them. Then assess the passive knee flexion. So you move beside the patient now, and you're going to passively flex their knee with your hand on their kneecap, feeling for crepitations. Next, you assess for internal rotation of the hip. So flex their hip to 90 degrees, their knee to 90 degrees, and internally rotate their hip. This is usually the first thing to go when there's an abnormality of the hip joint. And lastly, you're going to perform the patella tap. So if you want to know how to do the patella tap, you can read the documentation by Arthritis Research UK, or you can watch another video on YouTube. So basically, you push down from the thigh towards the knee cap, and then you're gonna press down on the patella and see if it bounces up with a tap. And that's all I have for you. Thank you.